Today, I sit down with Julie Busby out of Chicago, who shares her strategy behind the way her team has been able to help 150 clients annually. Stay tuned because she'll share some of her tips and tricks behind her marketing strategy and philosophy. As always, I'm your host and referral partner out of San Francisco, Shawn Kunkler. Julie, we are live. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
This one's going to be really good. You have a pretty significant sized team. You guys do about 100 million annually, and you cover the Chicago area. Those are good numbers. Which
Yes,
to get there,
yes.
and to maintain that is hard. So tell me a little bit about the structure of your team.
Oh, yes. I'm happy to answer that. So, my team is very important to me, and you call anyone on our team, and we all will say the same thing. We almost think the same because we are one cohesive unit. But I have a robust staff. I have a director of operations who's been with me almost a decade. I have a director of concierge, very unique to us, who helps make the client process as seamless as possible. And then I also have a director of marketing, but underneath our director of marketing, we have a marketing manager. We have a whole in-house agency who, so that we can be robust and help market our clients' properties. So our staff is incredibly robust and then help support the brokers. So in addition to myself, all of my selling brokers are selling partners of mine. We're all an equal unit. And so we all partner together on every single buyer and seller. So we have a total of 7 brokers.
Wow, that's a pretty good sized team, and I like the way you segmented it out where you have operations and then your concierge. And I do have to give a shout out to Lauren, who, when we were booking, I don't know, we've done about 70 guests thus far, and she was by far more on top of it than any other person we've worked with so far. And
That,
it's not throwing shade on other agents. They all have outstanding. She just was like a step a notch above, which was really
that's
impressive.
that's amazing. Thank you. That means a lot to us. Again, our team, our staff, and client service, and just interaction with others is like utmost priority. So yay, I'm happy it shines through. Thank you for sharing.
For sure. And so tell me more about this concierge role, because we typically hear about people having assistants or ops managers, but we don't hear about this role. Can you kind of unpack that a little bit more for us?
Sure. So I founded my career over 20 years ago in San Diego, California, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So I was in your neck of woods, kind of. But when I founded my career, it was on client satisfaction. I wanted to, when I bought a home in San Diego, I thought there has to be a better way. There has to be better client service. So that's what I founded Busby Group on, is client service. And I found that having a team in place can actually create a better synergy to where you're providing better service. So it just morphed into bringing on a director of concierge to where every step of the way the client feels taken care of. Even in just the first interaction of, hey, I may want to buy or sell in 2 or 3 years, we're making sure we're then providing resources along the way. We also have systems where after they're a client, we say they're a friend of Busby Group and a part of the family for life. And people are reaching out to us daily for babysitters and for, of course, home vendors. But our concierge is vetting these types of vendors all day long to where we are an extension of their lifestyle and providing recommendations and concierge level service for life to our clients. So very unique. It's also been great to help. We have a lot of busy professionals as our clients, so it's been really helpful because they'll be out of the country, let's say, when we're closing, and she helps manage the closing process for them. Actually, we've met movers, helped the movers load and unload, where our client didn't even have to come back. We had a client who moved to Texas. They had a furnished home. We sold it. They never even had to come back for closing. We loaded it, got their movers for them, met the movers, everything. So, and they had a piano and nice art, and we took care of it all. So, just that's it. It all founded 23 years ago on client service, and it's just grown to have a concierge.
That is so interesting. It's funny. I had a similar epiphany, probably my second year into the business, where I was spending money on the home warranties,
Yes.
and then I was like, it was a very like thankless activity,
Yes.
and then I started to think about it, and I'm like, well, they're about $400 or $500 to buy these things, and I was like, well, what if I took that same money and then I spread it out over the course of 2 or 3 years? And then, like, what would that look like? And I basically started to build a relationship marketing campaign off of that.
Amazing.
And then,
Amazing.
with that whole front focus of giving, reciprocity, and then structuring myself. So, sending handwritten cards and sending small gifts as the seasons change, and just being available to them more as a friend. Because I mean, one thing that really clicked with me, and it sounds like you clearly have the marketing background with this, but when I got things in the mail, if it was in a number 10 envelope, which looks like a bill, you kind of toss
Yes.
it.
Yes.
But if it's a square envelope that's a color, like we use blue envelopes, and they're handwritten, everybody opens those first. And so I really, like,
Yes.
that was my shift of like, how do we really genuinely show our clients that we care? Not tell them we care, because everybody does that, but how do we show it? And I love that you similarly really just put that front of focus.
It's absolutely, literally, right before this call, I had a client who we helped them buy about 5 years ago, and she reached out and said, I'm working on something at the house. Can you help me walk through some things? And I just love being, like you said, show it, not just sending out a regular mailer or an email blast of, some tips for the year, which we do, but also be involved in your client's life, even past closing, a true relationship.
Yeah. Lance Pendleton, who's a coach, I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he was on
Yes.
the show. I love his humor and his direct approach, but he said, if you want to
Yes.
show a client you hate them, just put them on a mailing list.
Oh my God.
And it's true. It's very like dismissive. It's like what like your general practitioner does, or your dentist. But like
100%.
when you actually show up in different ways, like for a client, or you actually show up for their movers and you're just taking care of things for them, it leaves a completely different impression on the experience. And so your background prior to all this is marketing.
Marketing, correct. So everyone on our team has a marketing background.
Amazing.
We have a robust, yes. So we have like basically an in-house agency of marketing on our team at Busby Group, to where we can be swift and robust. I mean, that really did help us during COVID, when everything was shut down, of being robust and being able to quickly change our marketing, because we had a whole in-house marketing team. We have marketing director, marketing manager, social media team, graphic artist, copywriter, virtual stager, and then like a photo editor.
That is wild.
Yes, marketing is very important to me. I started my career even before real estate and at a .com.
Yeah.
When .coms were a .com, but it's just been, it's in my blood. So marketing's always been important, and everyone on the team has a marketing background in addition to the marketing
That's
agency we have.
incredible. It's funny. I've often said too, in our business, we're not real estate agents who market. We're marketing companies that sell real estate, because
Yes.
at the end of the day, if people don't know who we are or what we stand for or how we support, we don't get the call. Like, it just doesn't
Agreed.
happen.
Agreed.
And the reality is, like, the math of the transactions is small as compared to the amount of marketing you have to do, just
Yes.
constantly putting yourself out there. What directions are you pushing your marketing this year, 2024?
Well, we are more reaching the consumer where they are. So we spend our marketing money really on marketing our clients' properties, and not as much Busby Group, because organically it comes to us when we take care of our clients.
Sure.
So what we are doing is reaching consumers where they are. You and I touched on this previously, but I'm even reaching consumers on LinkedIn, because right now, some people are looking for a new position right now. There are a lot of layoffs going on right now, so we're reaching consumers where they are. Do they need to sell? Do they need advice on anything? And then we are obviously sharing our listings on LinkedIn as well. But our marketing is just more organic and reaching consumers where they are. Another idea is, it's more of just client service is our marketing, because we did, when .com started to do, or tech companies started to do a lot of layoffs last year, we started a campaign where I actually brought in a resume writing expert, and we did a webinar for them, and then shared it with clients. And then from that, we also shared our listings, in the webinar at the end, and also, shared a little bit about us. But it's more about reaching the consumer where they are. So that's where I think we're a little unique, because we are just navigating where the economy is and where the average consumer is, and trying to find them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page. Like, you have to go where your client, the consumer, is actually already hanging out. And I really like that. Like, LinkedIn does make a lot of sense. Being in Chicago, I'm in San Francisco. People move to and from frequently. And
all the time.
And LinkedIn is, if you're getting relocated, or let me rephrase, if you, let's say, lose a job, or you're voluntarily moving, you're going to go to LinkedIn and start looking for job resources, money, basically, which
exactly,
the house follows that. That's brilliant.
100%. We do that. We look at our feeder markets too. Where are people coming from to Chicago, and make sure we're reaching out to them. If we see someone that took a new position in Chicago, we're welcoming them to Chicago. So it's more organic. It's not like we're spending thousands of dollars on a billboard. It's actually just reaching the consumer, welcoming them, how can we help them, etc.
And that's more of that aligns with like the Compass philosophy of just being very human, of how can I help?
Yes.
Like, where are you stuck? How can I actually help you? And not just barraging them. And I do like your approach too with marketing if you spend the marketing dollar on marketing the listing, aside from getting it sold fast, which makes your client happy, your virtue of doing that activity, you're showing the success of your team without overtly saying we're a successful team. And so all the neighbors know, they see your name and they see it pop up time and time again. And then you ultimately get that call. It
just happens organically. Exactly.
Yeah. And I find too with especially with people who they don't fully understand marketing per se, and they think it's like, oh, you do this one thing and you get this one result, where it's like it's these layers and layers and layers of activities, and then you really can't trace the thread always of it was that one thing.
Right. No, totally agreed.
Oh, it's so interesting. I just, your philosophy and your approach, and then the systems on the back end, it's such a refreshing way to hear somebody approaching their business, because the way that you've structured it and the way you built it, it's like a Ferrari that's doing 50 miles an hour. There is way more horsepower to go exponentially faster.
Yes.
Because it's all there. And it's that's incredible. So with your 7 partner agents on the team, I'm trying to think of how to articulate this. Is there any do you do any sort of profit sharing or any crossover of commissions to keep everybody incentivized and to keep that
absolutely.
camaraderie?
Yes. We actually, so every single one of my clients, I do bring on a partner, because I can't be we do about 100 million a year. So it's over 100 transactions a year. It's very hard for me to be everywhere at every time of the day. Yeah. So I always bring on one of my selling partners to help with my buyer or my seller. So absolutely, they're a selling partner. So they are getting a split of any time that they are helping me with my I don't even want to say my clients, our clients, because it's a team effort. And then we have a very unique setup where also if a team member were to go out of town and another team member steps in, which happens all the time because we're every week communicating about all our clients, we have like a sliding scale to make sure that they are getting compensated for any work that they did on another team member's client. So we're constantly sharing. It's just kind of woven in together.
That is really cool. And I find that just makes people, it bonds everybody together. There's a lot more like helping spirit. And it sounds like you really have a solid group of people. Of your
Yes.
agents, do you have those that just specifically work on the listing side and then the buy side, or does everybody cross over?
I'm very different too. I am very much, we actually, our numbers since the year I started my career, it's 50% buyers, 50% sellers, and it's still that to this day.
Wow.
Usually a team of our caliber, it's a 100%, mostly listings. I do that on purpose, and well, it happens organically, but I'm not one also that says, oh, I only work with listings. I'm involved with the buyers as just as much as I am with the sellers, and same with the team. So it's 50-50. Because I do feel like they go hand in hand. In Chicago, we don't have lockboxes. We have to show the home when we have a listing. So the reason I bring that up is if you want to see the competition, you have to have a buyer to go see the competition. You can't we also don't do previews. So if you are active with a buyer, you're keeping your finger on the pulse of the buyer market, and then you can also communicate that to your seller about what's going on. So I think they go hand in hand when we are 50% buyer, 50% seller, and my team, everyone on the team is, about the same in their dealings with both buyers and sellers.
Wait, so this is totally new to me. Do you all have like a broker tour day or no?
Okay, so it is Tuesdays. They're not as prevalent as they used to be, but yes, it is Tuesday is when you do the broker opens, like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's typical if you have lunch, they'll show up, right?
True.
But that's when you could possibly see other listings. But a lot of people don't do the broker opens. They're not putting their listings on the broker opens.
Really?
We do at Busby Group because we see it as a way, like you said, we know that you can't see the home without, because 9 times out of 10 you're not using a lockbox. So we do at Busby Group use broker opens, but they're not as prevalent as other marketplaces.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because it's the day where, like, kind of across the board, agents will clear their calendar to go look for properties on behalf of their clients. So it does make it it a lot easier. Ours, interestingly enough, is also on Tuesdays. But post-COVID, our numbers they're half of what they used to be.
Wow.
Which is, it just hasn't come back yet. Unless it's like that
Special
amazing,
property.
that jaw-dropping one where people are like, oh my God, I have to go see it. And it's usually to go see it to film it for social media.
100%. Yes, we get that too.
And we've been, similarly, because those numbers have dipped so hard, what we've been doing right before we come to market, we try to do some sort of agent-specific event where we'll have somebody come in and just do like an hour seminar on how to beef up your social media. And then the end goal is to just get agents who sell in that neighborhood into my property first. But it's like, it's been hard. It's been hard to, like, the numbers in the office are down. The touring
Agreed.
agents are down. It just hasn't fully rebounded, which I also kind of feel like agents complain that their business is slowing down. It's like, well, there's opportunity here.
Right. Are you actively involved? Are you actually right?
Yeah. Yeah, because when
Making
you're
sure
seeing
you're-
stuff, you get excited and you're like, oh yeah, my client lives next door, or let me message him about this.
Agreed.
And things start happening. Even just the serendipitous moments. Like you bump into you bump into somebody on the street and you're like, oh, and then like this whole thing happens. So not to rant on it, but I think agents just need to get out, physically get out more and just see properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the ways that it sounds like you guys spend a lot of energy and money on marketing your listings? What are you doing that's unique in your marketplace to get the attention to the properties?
So again, every week we do a marketing call about our listings, and we really look, it just depends on the property itself about where we're going to reach them. If it's ultra luxury, sometimes we are marketing to private jets because we are finding a lot of the luxury was not doing commercial anymore after COVID. So then we started reaching them on private jet marketing. We just think about where that specific consumer is and what data is showing about who is buying in specific areas, and try to reach them creatively that way.
It sounds like you love the data, the
I do.
spreadsheets.
I'm a little bit of a nerd with data. Yes, my team. I always say that like a strategy is important. We're not the type of group that will willy-nilly, yeah, we'll take your listing, and yeah, we'll you want to test that price, we'll test that price, like, and we'll just throw it up on the MLS and cross our fingers. Like, we are very strategic of, if we do test a higher price, like, how high do we really push the limit? What day of the week do we list? My team knows this. Like, there's certain days I do not list a home. Like, you have to, like, we're strategic. So yes, data is important to us.
Yeah, we are cut from the same cloth. I do everything. Everything is like very intentional. Like, why are we specifically doing this on this day at this time?
Right.
And like, what has proven to work, and let's do more of that. Like, even down to open houses on Saturday and Sunday. Kat, my ops person, will pull all the listings in the area of like properties, and then we'll strategically look at their open house times, and then strategically fit ours in there. Either usually in the before part, because I want to be seen first.
Yes. I love it. We do too. I love that.
But I genuinely think in markets like ours, competitive spaces, you have to be, it's at 1% different and better in every little category you possibly can be. And if you can control it, you better control it. Because there's so many of those variables that they're just way outside of us. And it's like what the economy's doing, what the weather's doing, all that's up in the air. But there's
some things you can control.
100%.
To help, bring that target audience in, streamline them in. Yep.
Yeah, my team knows they've all adopted very high standards. And everybody knows if it's not hitting the mark, they all have the authority to be like, no, like, this is not going to fly. We have to fix this.
Completely agreed.
And I think that's an incredibly important part from like the leadership position is, and you have 7 agents, they have to know that they can speak up, and they can be like, hey, this is just not on our brand. Like, this is not going to hit.
We have a client right now that, we are getting all the marketing prepped, and we like to actually run our marketing by our client and get approval, because maybe we missed some amazing feature that they think is so important, and maybe, somehow we missed it. So we like to just run it by them. Are we missing anything? And they took quite a while to respond and approve it. And so we missed our target day to go on the market. And then here it is Friday at like 4 p.m. and they said, approved, let's go live. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And my team spoke up too, and they said, we will have an unsuccessful open house, which you will, because people plan the weekend in advance. And like you said, there's already other listings that are already planned, and someone's got their tour scheduled, or the broker's already scheduled, because like I said, we have to schedule with the other broker when we're going out and showing property. You just don't want to be missed. And so we had to say, no, we don't recommend going live today. And they just didn't understand it. And so you have to make that call of like, is this a fit? Because I want to make sure your best interests are at our heart. And that's why we're recommending just wait. So next Tuesday or Wednesday, and then do the open house next weekend. But
interesting. Our sweet spot is Thursday. We tend to go live on Thursday so that we can keep the days on market down, get all of our marketing pushed by Friday morning, and then that tees us up for the open house.
Thursday's the latest we want to be. If we're Thursday, we want to be on by like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Any later, you're missed.
Interesting. It's I
Yes.
always find that super fascinating, the subtle nuances between all of these markets, to find that like that sweet spot for all these little
Yes.
components of just
Yes.
like these little tricks. And the only way you get those is through that trial and error.
Right. Right. And being active, like you said.
Exactly. And just talking to people. Like sometimes
Right.
you have a conversation with an agent, like you and I today, and you may say that one thing that just sits with you and you're like, that's interesting. Let me go back and figure out how to put this into my business.
And being aware. So you know, like some brokers might just do their open house, right? I'm doing 11-1. I always do it 11-1, but you only get 3 to 4 people there. But then, you know, if you notice that, maybe trial another time. And like
Yeah.
you just have to be aware instead of just, you know, doing. You have to do strategically.
I think that's another trap that agents fall into. And
Yes.
sometimes they're like, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years, like the same way. And you're like,
Right.
does it still work? It might have worked amazingly like pre-internet, but we're in a
Right.
totally different
Right.
world. Like this is a completely different world. Is it
Yes.
working now? And so I think, which we do as well, we do a Monday, Thursday call to get updated as a team on all the properties and where
Yeah.
things are, like which pieces are moving and basically who needs to do them. And then at the end, we always do a full audit of, there's key thresholds. And then we do an audit. And the 2 questions I'd love to ask are, what did we do that worked really well? And then what can we do better the next time around? And then this way it's positive. And our brains are like
I like that.
getting a hardwire with like, fix this stuff, but make it better.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
and just finding those little, it's that those little 1%. It's like if I can just adjust this open house slightly and
Yes.
get that just different bands of people. I actually remember hearing Sunday opens from 2 to 4 became a thing because of church. And so the 2 to 4 was to get the crowd as they came out of church.
How funny.
And
Right.
and so and they just stuck. Sunday opens. Like it's like just a normal thing.
Right. And is that even where the consumers are now, right? So, does that even make sense? Yeah, our late afternoon Sundays are not usually the best. It's usually a Saturday morning. It tends to be like after brunch.
Interesting. Same. It depends on the neighborhood, depends on the property, but we tend to find the earlier time slot before people are getting going to either get out of town or go do that thing.
Right.
We'll catch them then.
Right.
But it's, to your point, you got to audit it. You have to like see what the trend is, and then whatever it is, how do you leverage within that? It's so
Yes.
tricky. But
It is.
that's all of those pieces. That's what makes, for me, it's always exciting, because those are all the new variables. It's the new day. It's like, how do we do this a little bit better?
Right. And that you and I chatted about this previously, but that we are always doing that after we close a transaction or anything that might have been a little bumpy. We'll say, okay, how do we make it better? What did we do well? I like that. What did we do well? But also, how can we be better next time? And perfect that. And every day you're learning something new. If you're not, then you're not doing it right.
The what did we do well and what could we do better the next time? That was from when I was doing a lot of sales. One of my early past life careers or jobs was selling ad space. And you would have those phone calls that you would fumble everything from beginning to
Yes.
end, and they were horrible. Like it was a horrible call. And I would be like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. But your brain doesn't hear that. Your brain says, do that, do that, do that. And
Right.
so I wasn't getting better. And I think it was like Brian Tracy or somebody, one of like the old
Yeah.
school sales trainers,
Yeah.
basically said, program your mind in the positive. And then I was like, oh, that totally changes it. So then you're telling your brain, do more of this. And so then you're basically just addressing what the problem is, but you're really genuinely focusing on the solution. And
I
then
love that.
your brain only hears the positive side of that solution. And so that's where I stole it from all
I
those
love
years
it.
ago. So what's new for your business this year? How are you either growing your team or accelerating to get more clients?
We've got a few things. We're always thinking outside the box and growing. One of our big initiatives right now is our Give Back program.
I like
We are for every transaction we close, we actually give back to Greater Chicago Food Depository. And then we now launched this year our biannual pantry pickup. So we ask clients to, hey, go through your pantry, because it's usually in the fall and the spring, they're cleaning up or organizing their home, clean up your pantry, or even throughout the year as they're packing and moving, because we're helping everyone move. Hey, no one wants to move their canned goods, I'm like, save them. Busby Group at Final Walkthrough, we're going to pick them up and we go donate them. So that's my big initiative, is that we're very involved in that. And even at our open houses, where we're letting everyone who's stopping by know that if they ever want to drop something off or have a pickup, let us know. So that's a big initiative at Busby Group. And then we did launch Busby Group Luxury Advisors to really hone into our luxury clientele. Really, it's the same service no matter what price point, but we're really showcasing that concierge. The concierge, every price point. If you're selling a $30,000 parking space, you're going to get the same concierge level service, but we're just making it more prevalent on our luxury marketing. But that's really the two big initiatives where we've been really promoting this year.
I love that idea, the pantry pickup, especially when people are moving. They don't. You're cleaning, and you don't want to take
hand
everything.
in hand with our industry. It's so perfect, because people, how many times have you done a walkthrough and there's like stuff left in the pantry? Well, now we just pick it up, and it's instead of, oh, I'm so annoyed my client left this, it's like, oh yay, we got a pantry pickup, and we load our car. So it's now turned it into a positive, and we're giving back to the community, and everyone's happy. So
That is super cool. And you can always I'm just thinking it through, you can just ping all your clients and be like, hey, I'll be driving around your neighborhood on Sunday. I'm going to cruise by and pick up anything. Just let me know.
That's exactly what we do.
It's
a great
so good.
opportunity to reach out to the clients. We actually have businesses we're partnered with. That's something else we work with. So we're we're preferred broker group for a lot of large organizations in Chicago, including a lot of the hospital chains like Rush Hospital, Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, Northwestern. So we're very fortunate. But what's neat is we can sponsor the pantry pickup at their on site too. So that's really a unique opportunity, and also just it just feels so great because you're giving back. It helps. It's a win-win. But that's exactly what we do. Is we just reach out to clients. It's a great opportunity to reach out and say, hey, we're donating. Do you have anything to pick up for us to come pick up? So
I love the component of partnering with these businesses. It's such a good way to get them more exposure, and then have conversations with your clients, because that's what it's always about. It's about, how do I have conversations with clients, because I need to stay in front of them without selling them.
Right.
It's so genius. Oh, that's so good. I'm like, oh, it's so easy and simple, and like, we often as agents love to overthink everything and make it so crazy complex. And I'm like, that is so simple.
That's I know whenever people ask, like, what are we doing with our marketing? I'm like, it's just more organic and more natural. You don't have to, like I said, market on the bench or the billboard. There's other ways to reach the consumer and get back to the community. So that's what we've been really focusing on lately.
Yeah, and I genuinely feel, I mean, I recognize it in my own life when a company is giving back to the community. It symbolizes a lot of things, right? It symbolizes that they care. It symbolizes a level of their success to be able to actually be in the position to do that. It instills trust, and it's the most important. It's top of mind, and so there's like from a marketing perspective, there's warm feelings associated with it from beginning to end, which is, it's genius.
And from our perspective, it's warm and fuzzies for us too.
Exactly.
We love pantry pickup. It's so fun to go pick up, and we get to see the clients. It's all around a positive experience.
Yeah, and you're genuinely helping people at the end of the day. Like somebody who
Right.
is in need is
Right.
actually getting an upper hand, which is
Right.
that's amazing. What other when to go back to a big rewind to when you were talking about LinkedIn, what are some of the
Yes.
strategies your team is employing on that platform?
It is, again, it's so simple. We're not necessarily like, spending all sorts of marketing money on advertising there. It's more finding the correct connections. So a few things, like I said, we're starting a lot of partnerships with different organizations. A lot of times we first meet them on LinkedIn. You go to the HR executive, the director of people, whatever their title may be, and you reach out to them and say, hey, we could be an extension of your benefits package. This started because, remember, like there was a time where it was hard to keep people at their careers, and HR
Yes.
companies were having to think of ways to keep talent. And so we were saying we can be an extension of that. We're offering free webinars. We'll bring in financial advisors and give your employees good advice. We'll do one-on-one. We come in during lunch hour and bring, tchotchkes and that fun stuff. So it's fun on site. And it's all free to you all. And then also we'll host a happy hour when you're bringing in your new recruits or your interns for the summer. So it just is like, again, another win-win opportunity. So a lot of times it's just old school outreach, targeting on LinkedIn of who might be a good HR executive or director of people to go, to reach out to and say, hey, I think we should chat so you know more about what we can offer you. And it's all complimentary.
That's brilliant. And the HR people have their finger on the pulse. Like they know
Oh my goodness, yes.
they know everything that's happening within the company.
Oh yes. And once you have that relationship, once they're see the benefit, then it's so great because they'll invite us monthly to come on site during the lunchroom. Now we're talking to all the employees. We just did one at Shirley Ryan Ability Lab just a few weeks ago. So it's really, and actually what's neat about that is then you also get the patients because they're there.
Oh, wow.
And so we meet patients, we meet the medical staff, everything. It's really it's really neat. So, but once you make that connection and they get it, we really are an extension to their benefits package. I mean, it's why not? And we also offer complimentary black car tours of Chicago. So even if it's a top recruit that you're bringing in a CEO and a recruit, and they don't know if they're going to accept the position or not, it's complimentary. There's you don't have to. There's no commitment to us, but we do a black car service and show them around Chicago. Also, we have, I've been on the board at Neighborhood Parent Network, which is a network that helps people with school selection. So I'm also able to give them candid advice and tips on the school systems in Chicago. And that's another resource that we offer all the employees and then any recruits as well. So it's just a whole package that we've been able to create.
That's amazing. My pen is like feverishly writing this stuff down. This is so
I am
good.
happy to send over what we've been working on. I can send you. We have like a presentation and everything.
I would love that. That would be absolutely incredible. It is so good, and I firmly believe, especially post lawsuit settlement, the commissions, I feel like the landscape of our business is really going to change, and it's really going to have to be more so relationship focused than anything else. And sitting down and talking to people or driving them around, having a black car tour, having a candid conversation, you're building a bond with somebody in a very unique way with a no pressure approach.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And it's smart. I mean, it's on so many levels, because if they're trying to figure out where they want to be, you now are just, you're becoming their trusted advisor. And it's a natural, organic fit to the next piece. So
I have an interesting story on that. So I had, high up medical professional who was getting recruited to Chicago. They were in San Fran. And I took her out for a weekend. She came out for another interview, took them out again. And actually, I have a few stories like this. But anyways, they ended up not ever moving to Chicago. Still didn't. But I get referrals from her all the time. I actually just had a referral yesterday. There's a pharmacist moving to Chicago, and we're going to help them. And I just from doing, 2 tours and creating that relationship and trust, even though she never moved to Chicago, she still refers to me. I mean, this was probably 10 years ago, and still refers.
That is incredible. And the reason I was so feverishly writing this down, there are 2 companies in the area that it's pretty much the bulk of all of my clients come from those 2 companies. And the reason why we focus so heavy on the relationship is because it's all referrals. And they have those internal areas where they're posting about other agents and talking about it. And my name just gets slung around left and right. And so we always have to be 5-star. I actually tell people out of the gate, first email is, if at any point you feel we're not delivering 5 stars of service, let me know and I'll course correct immediately.
I love that.
Because that is paramount for us. It's
agreed.
Our reputations, especially moving forward into this new world, our reputations are it's the core of it. But I love that story of this person never even had a transaction with you, but have become a raving fan of yours. Incredible.
But that's exactly when you said there's 2 companies that almost 90% of your clients are from. Same. And that's where I started. I went straight to that one company, grew from there. Then it just kept growing. And, so that is a great opportunity. That's a low hanging fruit. You're already helping them. So why not say, hey, I want to take it to the next level and offer complimentary services as your HR benefits?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It's exciting.
I'm totally jazzed. Like, I never know where these conversations are going to go. And I always feel like I have such an unfair advantage in this industry because I get to sit down and pick people's brains like yours and learn some amazing tips and tricks. So I genuinely appreciate that. Unfortunately, we're at the top of the hour. We're at time. But I genuinely thank you so much for this chat. It has been really fun.
It has been fun. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So with that, now that you've been officially a guest on the show, we have an inner circle group that all guests get to participate in. So I'll send you a private invite for that.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm excited.
Awesome. And that is a wrap.